It was my son Jacob's first time seeing that side of the family in 3 years, and I'd been hesitant to bring him. He's a gentle, curious 7-year-old who still draws dinosaurs on restaurant napkins and asks if clouds are soft enough to sleep on. He has sensory issues. He doesn't like loud places, flashing lights, or people touching his hair. And worst of all, my family treats him like a burden, like he's defective. But my sister Camille? She treats him like an accessory. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. So, when I received the invitation to our extended family reunion at a country club just outside Charlotte, I ignored it until Camille called me directly. "You're not coming?" she'd asked, fake disappointment dripping from her voice. "But I already told everyone Jacob would be there. They want to see him. He's so entertaining." That was her word, not sweet or bright or handsome. Entertaining, like he was her circus act. I should have said no. But Jacob had overheard, and his face had lit up like I hadn't seen in weeks. "We get to go to a big party, Mommy, with cake?" So I said yes. The venue was posh, old money, white tablecloths, waiters with vests. Camille always picked places that screamed status. Her husband had made partner at a firm, and suddenly she dressed like the Real Housewives and spoke like she'd invented the word etiquette. Jacob clung to me as we walked in. The hall was buzzing with relatives I barely remembered, cameras flashing, wine glasses clinking. Camille floated over like a politician. "There she is," she beamed, kissing the air next to my cheek. "And there's my little pet." I blinked. "Excuse me?" Jacob stepped behind me. Camille crouched and spoke to him like he was a dog. "You're Mommy's little tail, aren't you? Always underfoot." He didn't understand, but I did. I guided him to our table, except there was no seat for him. Just 11 chairs for 12 names. Jacob's name wasn't on a card. I turned to Camille. "Where is Jacob supposed to sit?" She gave a smug shrug. "Oh no, must have been a printing error. But it's fine. Kids wiggle too much at the table anyway. He can sit next to the dessert cart. Keeps him close to the fun." Next to the dessert cart meant the floor. "I'm not making my son sit on the ground," I said sharply. Camille rolled her eyes and said to the surrounding guests, "Oh, come on. It's not like he minds. He probably eats off the floor at home, too." People laughed. My father chuckled, sipping his scotch. "If he's gonna act like a mutt, let him sit like one." My face burned. I pulled a chair from the buffet table and wedged it next to mine, ignoring their stares. Dinner was served. Jacob quietly played with his spoon, overwhelmed but calm, until Camille stood and clinked her glass. Before dessert, I'd love to show everyone my surprise. 2 waiters came in carrying a large custom cake shaped like a bone. Yes, a dog bone. And sitting beside it was a silver food bowl with Jacob etched on it. "I thought," she smiled, "since he's our little pup, he should have a pup treat." I froze. Jacob looked up at me confused. "Mommy, did I do something bad?" He didn't cry, he just asked that. The room erupted in laughter. "My mom?" Wiping tears from her eyes. "Oh, Camille, stop," she giggled. "I haven't laughed that hard in years." I looked around, waiting for someone to stop this. No one did, not even my husband's second cousin, who nodded like it was just a bit of family fun. Jacob tried to get up. Camille stopped him. She said sweetly. "Let's see how well you beg for dessert." That's when I stood up, quietly, and walked to the waiter standing near the bar. I leaned in, whispered something. He nodded. And as Camille posed beside her cake, holding a sparkler like a queen, I handed the waiter a silver envelope. He walked over to Camille, placed it in her manicured hand, and whispered, "Your balance has been settled." By her. Everyone turned. Camille opened it. Inside wasn't a bill or a check. It was a photo of her husband, naked, in my apartment. And that was only the beginning. Camille's hands were trembling. The sparkler fizzled in her hand as she stared at the photo. Her flawless grin collapsed into a twitching, pale grimace. One guest let out a stifled gasp. Her husband, Travis, who had been schmoozing near the open bar with some finance bro cousins, turned at the sound and froze when he saw the envelope. She dropped the picture. It landed face up on the cream-colored tablecloth. And even from across the room, I could see her panic. "That's fake," Camille hissed. "Photoshopped. Right, Travis?" But Travis didn't speak. He just rubbed his temples and looked down. "Travis," she barked. Jacob tugged my arm. "Mommy, why is Auntie yelling?" I bent down to him and whispered, "Because people who act mean don't like it when others see their truth." The room was shifting, conversations hushed, phones came out. My mother walked over, her face tight with forced calm. "What did you do?" she spat quietly. "Why are you trying to ruin her birthday?" I blinked. Her birthday? This was a family reunion, not her birthday, and she humiliated my son like he was some dog. She planned it, printed props, even had a bowl made. She was joking. My mom snapped. "You're too sensitive. Jacob's a little strange, okay? He doesn't play like the other kids. She was just helping him feel included." "By making him eat off the floor?" I hissed. "By calling him a pet?" Camille was now shaking. Travis had grabbed the envelope and was flipping through the rest of the contents. There were more than just photos. There were texts, dozens of them. From him. To me. But not flirtatious texts, not romantic ones. Desperate ones. Because 6 months ago, Travis had come to me, crying in his car at midnight. He had nowhere else to go. Camille had been verbally abusive for years. She controlled the money, the narrative, even his friendships. She had cameras in their bedroom and passwords on his phone. I helped him find a lawyer. Nothing happened between us. But the photos, he sent those himself as documentation for his case. I just hadn't expected to use them. But after what Camille did to Jacob, I didn't care. Camille turned to the guests, trying to salvage face. "This is a setup. She's been jealous of me since we were kids. She's always been the boring one, the single mom with the weird kid and the crappy job." Someone near the back muttered, "You made a child eat off the floor." Camille's mouth opened and closed. "Let's go, Jacob," I said gently. But before I could leave, Camille stormed up to me, tears streaming down her face, mascara trailing like war paint. "You ruined me!" I didn't flinch. I took out my phone, hit play. It was audio, her voice, from just 3 weeks ago. "You know what your son is?" She'd whispered during a visit when Jacob wasn't around. "A parasite. He sucks the life out of you. That's why no man stays. That's why you'll die alone." The audio ended. People were now stepping away from her like she was radioactive. The same guests who'd laughed earlier? Silent. I leaned closer. "You call my son a parasite again, and next time it won't be a photo. It'll be a courtroom." Camille slapped me. Right across the face. The room gasped. I turned back to Jacob. He was crying now, not from the slap, but from the chaos. That's when the waiter stepped between us. "Ma'am," he said to Camille, calm but firm, "we're going to have to ask you to leave, permanently." "You can't kick me out of my own family's reunion," she shrieked. "Actually," said a voice from behind her, "we can." It was my uncle, the one who paid for the venue. "I'm sorry," he said to me gently. "We didn't know she planned that. We had no idea." He looked down at Jacob. "I hope you both stay." I didn't answer. I just picked up my purse, took Jacob's hand, and walked out the front door. But not before turning back and giving Camille a final look. One that said, "You'll never see either of us on our knees again." 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of silence from my parents. 3 weeks of calm breakfasts with Jacob, gentle evenings with puzzles and cartoons, and a quiet sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. But of course, peace doesn't last when you're related to Camille. It started with a knock, not a gentle one. A pounding one on my apartment door on a Sunday morning. I opened it with a sigh. It was my father. And behind him, my mother, arms crossed, lipstick too bright, purse clutched like a weapon. "We need to talk," my mom said without greeting. Jacob peeked from the hallway. "Sweetheart," I called to him. Go finish your coloring, okay?" He obeyed, without question, without fear. Because he knew now I'd protect him. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "What is it?" I asked. My dad got straight to the point. "You embarrassed Camille." "No," I said. "She embarrassed herself." "Don't get smart," my mom snapped. "You made her lose her job." "What?" "She was suspended," my dad said flatly. "Her firm said her family behavior reflected poorly on her public image." "Good," I replied. My mother's nostrils flared. "She can't find another position. She's been blacklisted." "Again," I said. "Good." My dad took a step forward. "You need to fix this." I laughed, out loud. "Fix it?" I said, eyes wide. "You watched my son crawl on the floor and laughed. You told me to lighten up. You raised Camille to think she was a god and raised me like I was her servant." "That's not true," my mother said weakly. "It is," I snapped. "And I let it slide for years, for Jacob's sake, so he could at least know his grandparents, but that's over now." My dad gritted his teeth. "You owe us." "I owe you nothing." "You think you're so righteous?" my mom hissed. "You're still single, you're still renting, you're not special. You're a martyr. That's all you've ever been." I stepped forward, calm as ice. "I may be renting now," I said, "but I've been saving, quietly, carefully. And last week, I bought a property." My mom froze. My dad blinked. "You what?" I reached into my coat and pulled out a thin envelope. "Remember the building Camille wanted? The high-rise apartment she was eyeing for her comeback?" They nodded slowly. "I bought it." "You're lying," my mother breathed. I smiled. "Nope." I opened the envelope and pulled out the deed. My name, in bold. And the address. The same address Camille had raved about in her Instagram stories. The one she told everyone would approve she was still elite. She applied for a lease, I added. Got approved, even put down a deposit. But the owner? I tapped my chest. Me. My mother took a step back. "She's been crying for days," my dad said, stunned. "She'll cry more," I said softly, "because when she gets the letter tomorrow, it'll say she's been denied residence due to moral incompatibility with the building's values." I even included a copy of the video from the reunion, just to be thorough. "You're cruel," my mother whispered. "No," I said, "you are. I just finally stopped pretending it didn't hurt." They left without another word. A week later, Camille posted a crying selfie online claiming she was bullied out of her dream home. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. Because the people who'd watched her humiliate my son, they remembered. And the people who mattered stayed quiet and respectful. 2 months passed. One evening, as Jacob sat beside me drawing, he looked up and asked, "Mommy, am I still her pet?" I smiled, bent down and whispered, "No, baby, you're a lion." And he smiled back, like he believed it. Because now, he had a mother who acted like one. In a world that would never again make him crawl. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.